Welcome to the JA BizTown Teacher Training for implementing the student self-guided curriculum and online JA BizTown Adventures. We are so excited to have an alternative delivery method available to meet your needs. By the end of this training, you will understand the various components that make up the JA BizTown program when delivered virtually. You will learn how to access both the self-guided curriculum and JA BizTown Adventure platforms, as well as how to monitor student progress as they complete each lesson. Finally, you will hear our suggested best practices for facilitating the JA BizTown program virtually. There are 4 basic program components when delivering JA BizTown virtually. You are completing the first component now by participating in this training. Next, you will enroll your students into the self-guided course, where they will engage in the curriculum at their own pace or with the guidance of their educator. Volunteers who are normally integrated during the on-site visit have given their time and efforts to recording volunteer videos that are directly embedded into the curriculum. After students complete the 4 self-guided units, they will participate in the virtual culminating activity, JA BizTown Adventures. Finally, students will participate in an educator-led debriefing and complete the post-test. Benefits of implementing JA BizTown virtually include access to an asynchronous learning portal with easy-to-use lessons. Educators need minimal preparation time to implement the program components, and content is aligned with state standards while being fun, interactive, and engaging. There are 3 different virtual platforms that you and/or your students will use to complete each program component. Each platform is a different website, though you will use the same login information. The JA User Management System will be used only by the educator to enroll students in the self-guided course. Students will access the lessons using the JA Connect learning platform. Educators can also view the content as well as student progress using this platform. Students will log in to the JA BizTown Adventures platform to complete each of the 5 job roles that give them a 360-degree view of what it's like to run a business. As an educator facilitating JA BizTown, you have been set up in the national JASA system with your school email as your username. If you were a contact teacher for JA BizTown last year and you completed tasks in the web portal prior to your visit, you have already been registered and prompted to set up a password. If you are new to JA BizTown or were not the contact teacher, you should have received an email prompting you to create a password. If you cannot remember your password or were not registered in the past, please use the Forget Password link to reset it. JA staff cannot reset it for you. When logging into a JA virtual platform, be sure to click the Educators, Students, Volunteers button. Going forward, please make note of your login information, as the username and password will be the same for each JA platform. I will now demonstrate how to use the various virtual platforms for each program component. First, let's look at how to enroll students in the self-guided curriculum. You will visit access.ja.org to log in. Here you'll use the email username and password that we just discussed to log in. This is where you will click to edit your enrollment. Go to Enroll Student, and the easiest way to do this for a large group is to import. You'll use the provided template here. The spreadsheet will have columns for student first name, student last name, and their email address. If they don't have an email address, first name and last name alone are sufficient. If for any reason your school does not have approval to use student names, you can also use generic names like Student A, Student B, and so on in order to still give the students a generic login. You will choose your file and click Upload. You can see that it's added my sample student. I had not included an email address in my spreadsheet, and so this automatically created a generic student email at juniorachievement.org. This is only for username purposes. It does not actually create an email account anywhere and is essentially just their username to log in. After you've had a chance to look at your student list, click Finish Enrollment. If I want to double check who is enrolled, I can also see the list here. If you have missed anyone or at any point need to go back and add a student, you can do so individually here. When you close out that window, you'll be able to see the number of students enrolled in your class. Here's my self-guided class with 3 students. After you've enrolled your students, please wait at least an hour in order for the student account names to carry over. I would like to note that you can access the JA Connect Learning Platform directly from the User Management System by clicking the link in the top left corner. After enrolling your students, you should have little, if any, reason to revisit the access.ja.org site and will spend most of your time in the JA Connect Learning Platform, which we will look at next. The JA Connect Learning Platform is where both educators and students will access the self-guided course. You may be familiar with the platform as a way to access resources for the traditional JA BizTown curriculum. You can access this platform by visiting learn.ja.org using a web browser. Remember, your login information is the same for all JA platforms. Once you've logged in, look in the top left corner to find the My JA Courses section. Click on the triangle next to Capstone to drop down your courses. You should see a link labeled JA BizTown Self-Guided Adventures 2021 with your last name, school name, then the semester and calendar year. Click on the link to access the self-guided curriculum's main page. It is important to note that the educator view is pretty much identical to the student view. To the left, you will see a navigation panel that lists a welcome, program overview for educators, and then the 4 core units, which are broken down into lessons. Within the lesson, you'll find on-screen presentations that deliver content for that particular unit. There are also a dozen volunteer videos embedded into the program for students to view and hear from volunteers about specific topics for that unit. Many of the lessons also contain student activity pages, much like the student workbooks in the traditional delivery of the curriculum. Anytime there is a PDF or an on-screen presentation to view, you'll see the play button here. Clicking it will open a new tab with the PDF or presentation. Many of the on-screen presentations will require audio, so if your class is meeting in person, I would recommend the use of headphones. Here's a look at how the volunteer videos appear in the portal. Students will simply click and it will play within the course. It will not open up a second window. For some of our ELL students, JA of Middle Tennessee has a library of Spanish videos and is working on other languages. These videos can be viewed directly from the JA of Middle Tennessee YouTube channel in place of these embedded videos and are labeled to mirror the specific lesson numbers. Student activity pages are also embedded. When you open these up, you'll see the actual worksheets that have been made into fillable PDFs, where students can complete their items, save the PDFs, and submit them to their teachers through their learning management system, like Schoology or Google Classroom, if the teacher so chooses. If you are meeting in person, these activity pages could also be printed and the hard copies completed. Once your students have started working through the lessons in the self-guided course, you will want to return to learn.ja.org to access the Facilitator Dashboard and track their progress. In the top right corner, select the triangle next to your initials and click on My Facilitation Dashboard. Scroll down to the Your Training Sessions and select your class. Under Key Figures, you can request for reports to be emailed to you. The Student Activity Tracking Report provides the most detailed information. If you scroll back up to the top and select People, you can see more information about each learner. The amount of time spent is a very telling metric here, as well as when the students were last connected. If you select Path at the top, you can see how many students have completed each individual component. Please keep in mind that this facilitation dashboard is a relatively new item to be paired with the asynchronous curriculum, and continued enhancements and adjustments will be made from this point going forward. After completing the first 4 units of the self-guided course, the students will then complete the online JA BizTown Adventures as their culminating activity. Let's look at the final JA portal, JA BizTown Adventures. The link to access this portal will be sent to the educator after students have started the self-guided curriculum. Students are required to complete the entire course before gaining access to JA BizTown Adventures. At this time, there is not a facilitator dashboard available to monitor progress. However, there are ways to keep students accountable, which we will discuss a little later on. For JA Biztown Adventures, students will complete their own registration. The first time they access the portal, they will click Create an Account on the home screen. They will be asked to enter their first and last name, their email, school name, and their teacher's name. The email can be the same generic one created for the learning platform, or it can be a school-issued email. They will not need to access the email to log in. Once they have entered all of their information, they can sign up. They will be greeted by the JA Biztown guide, who will walk them through a quick introduction. Some portions of the adventures include audio. The sound can be muted at any time by clicking on the gear button in the bottom left corner. This is also where students can log out if they are sharing devices at school. Here you can see the 5 job roles that students will take on as they complete their adventures. We suggest starting at the top of the list and working their way down. Each role will take the students about 20 to 30 minutes to complete, so we suggest having them complete 1 role a day for a full school week. Once the student clicks on the job role, they will be given the definition. They can click on the speaker to have it read aloud. The next step is choosing their employer. They will see a page full of logos that are hiring. Each of the 14 businesses that are highlighted in our on-site facility are also available in the online version. Students can click on a business to learn more about it, then select which one they would like to work for. They can work for the same business through each of the 5 roles, or pick a different business for each role. The tasks will be primarily the same for each business, but the context may change somewhat to match the mission statement of the business. From here, students will officially begin their adventure, which will include some reading, math, and questions to check for understanding along the way. As students answer questions, they will receive immediate feedback. If their answer is incorrect, they will be given the chance to try again. It is also important to note that there is not a back button, so students must read carefully. When students near the end of the adventure, they will have the opportunity to download and/or print a certificate of completion. At this time, this is the best way for educators to hold students accountable for completing the adventure. They can show the educator on their device if they are in person, or upload it to a learning management system like Schoology or Google Classroom. On the final screen, students will be encouraged to complete a survey, which will open in a new window. Their feedback will be submitted to JAUSA, who will be working on future enhancements to improve the user experience. One final thing to note, student progress is saved if they are unable to complete a job role in one sitting. They must sign in, choose the same job role and the same business, but then they should be taken back to where they've left off. Before you start to enroll your students in the self-guided course, be sure to review the teacher checklist provided by the JA office to help you along the way. A step-by-step educator instruction guide with screenshots will be provided, as well as a discussion guide, which we'll cover a little later. You will also have a student instruction guide available to help your students navigate through the platforms. Here you can see an estimated timeline for implementing the student self-guided curriculum in JA Biztown Adventures. In total, the program will offer students approximately 7 hours of asynchronous instruction, plus the time they need to complete 21 activity pages. As the educator, you will need to decide how and when to assign the various tasks. Hopefully, this chart will aid you in that process. As we wrap up this training, I would like to share a few best practices for implementing the virtual delivery of JA Biztown. We strongly encourage you to have your students complete the pre-test before logging into the self-guided course, and the post-test after completing all 5 adventures. Like in years past, if 90% of pre- and post-tests are submitted to the JA Biztown manager, your school will receive a $2 credit per student that will go towards next year's school fees. One of the main roles of the educator when delivering JA Biztown virtually is keeping students engaged and accountable throughout their asynchronous work. In regards to the self-guided curriculum, we recommend collecting the completed student activity pages and monitoring progress using the student activity tracking report found through the Facilitator Dashboard. For JA Biztown Adventures, collecting the certificates of completion for each job role is suggested. To engage students further, we also recommend scheduling some synchronous educator and student meetings. You will receive a discussion guide with talking points for all potential meetings. However, the duration and frequency of these meetings is determined by you. If you have any immediate questions following this training, please submit them through this form and a JA staff member will respond with assistance. You can also reach out to the JA BizTown manager directly. We look forward to having your students participate in the JA BizTown program. Thank you!